We just filmed a podcast. We just filmed a podcast. We just filmed a podcast. Because we're really good at podcasting. Yeah! Hey guys, I'm Bella, the Maker Mama boss lady behind Fiber and Fox, and it has been, 3,894 and a half days since I last filmed a podcast. I think this is episode 78, maybe. But it is now March of 2025, and I think my last formal podcast episode was August of 2024. So it's just there's been a lot of life in that chunk. I did record at the beginning of January a everything I made in 2024 video. So if you missed that, that is up, and like I said, go over everything that I made last year. And there's also some pretty big life updates in there, so I'm going to skip over that part. If you missed that video, long story short, we moved. That's why I disappeared from August to January. And then January, when I filmed that everything I made video, I was optimistic. I was like, we're going to film more often. I'm back. I have content. I have other videos planned, making stuff, stash busting. It's going to be a great year. And it's been a good year, but I had also just found out I was pregnant with my third at that point. Obviously wasn't going to announce it in that video, but I was optimistic that maybe this time my first trimester would be a little smoother. It seems to get progressively worse with every pregnancy for me. My daughter was pretty easy. Son, pretty rough. This one, oh my. So we're just coming out of that everything that I look at, think about, and smell makes me sick phase. And also traditionally, I completely lose the desire to knit and crochet because it kind of makes me like motion sick. Normally, I can't quite explain it, but normally my like up close, far sighted, near sighted, whatever. Normally my vision is fine up close. But pregnancy, I think like your eye shape changes, weird stuff happens. And I like have whack depth perception and can see like each individual fiber like in the yarn, and it makes me dizzy and then motion sick, and yeah, so I don't knit or crochet first trimester. I feel for you mamas who have been sick entire pregnancies or like more serious conditions, because oh my goodness, especially with other little kids, it's rough. Worth it, but rough. So I'm really grateful to be coming out of that now, and hopefully I will have some more knitting and crocheting to share. I've done a little bit of sewing. I'm not going to talk about it today because it's just been tinky little projects, but for some reason sewing didn't bother me, so I did a little bit of sewing. And then the projects that I do have to share are honestly mostly from the beginning of January, before I started feeling like I hated yarn. But I'm at the point now where I think I can pick it back up, and I just kind of want to get some more content back out there, and it always feels awkward coming back. Maybe you didn't notice I was gone. It's very easy for the big wide internet for someone to disappear and you not realize. So no hard feelings there, but it feels very awkward to come back every time, but I'm gonna try. So I'm here now. I'm pregnant, due in the end of summer, fallish, and that's one life update. We have some more life updates at the end. I'm gonna wait to chat about that with you guys, but basically I'm back, I'm pregnant, we've moved. And yeah, there's just been a lot of lifing. So I appreciate you sticking around. Like, subscribe, notifications, all of that will help you keep track of me, because I can't even keep track of me at this point. But if I didn't say, I'm Bella, and I'm a crochet designer. We'll talk about that in a second. I also knit, sew a tiny bit. And I think that's pretty much my spiel. I will say that in the 2024 roundup of everything I made video, I did mention box of socks. I never filmed it, because I just started feeling too awful and too tired and too everything. This is kind of a meager box of socks based on other years for me, but I would like to share it. So if you're interested, normally I would film that, at like the beginning of the year, and it's March now, mid-March at that. But if anybody still wants a box of socks 2024, let me know and I can get that filmed. Hopefully, maybe. We're going day by day at this point. But that video, people seem to always really like this, the consolidated sock only video, so I didn't put any of the socks in the 2024 roundup, and I have a little pile to share with you, so maybe, just maybe, we'll get to filming that, but I wanted to do a podcast. I think that's most of the admin bits. A little rusty, a little pregnant, we're gonna make it through this. Thanks for sticking with me. Normally we would do what I'm wearing next, so I guess I will tell you. These are not new designs, but they are both my designs. This is the Anuk pullover. It is reversible. It has a V-neck and then a crew neck in the back. It is a crochet fingering weight pullover design with this puff stitch detail down the sleeves and down the front center seam. Very knit-like feel. My thing as a crochet designer is crochet designs that make knitters jealous. So the Anuk pullover is in my shops. They are always linked below, Ravelry, Etsy, the like. And this is the Title Fades shawl. This is a DK weight version. There is also a worsted Aran weight version available. It's got fun little tassels with option for beads, and it's just a beautiful stitch that fades the colors together really beautifully. So you can do all sorts of color combos on this, but I really think this is probably my most mistaken for knit pattern. I have it in some local yarn shops and just have gone to events and stuff, and people are always like, wait, that's crochet. Are you serious? That's crochet? And that's kind of my favorite thing as a crochet designer, to confuse the knitters. So make the knitters jealous, Fiber and Fox patterns. That's my plug. Shops are linked below. Okay, so like I said, the WIPs have not been whipping particularly hard. But this I think was started first, so we'll talk about it first, and I'm just picking it back up again and kind of need to figure out what I'm doing. This is what will be, and it's all scrunched up because it's a raglan on small needles still and I haven't split. But this is what will be the Friday sweater baby-ish by Petite Knit. Now, some designers like tin can knits. You get their patterns and it's like fits your premature tiny baby to your football size playing man. Full spectrum of everybody. Petite Knit splits her patterns, usually baby, child, adult, sometimes male and female, separate patterns. I already had the Friday sweater baby from when I was pregnant with my son. I believe I made him one when I was pregnant. It was a white and red. I can hopefully find a picture of it and put it in. Something came out weird with the stitch pattern on that one. Even though I followed the pattern, I had other people tell me as well, and I saw comments that maybe the stitch count or something was off because it's supposed to be like a broken rib. And instead I got like a seed stitch thing going on in his. It came out beautiful, but this one's coming out as predicted in the pattern. But this is the baby size pattern. I did not purchase the child size pattern. It's a fingering weight design. The yarn that I am using is basically an Aran weight. So I kind of did some math and went up some needle sizes and didn't actually swatch. Probably should have swatched, but I figured it's a raglan and I can make it big enough until I need to split. Because I just don't have extra math in me right now. But I'm making hopefully a size 4-ish for my 2-year-old son that will now fit him in the fall. I don't think it's getting done by when it warms up. It's March now and it's starting to get sweater weathery, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a fall project. Anyhow, this was supposed to be his last fall family photos, Christmas card, Christmas sweater situation. I had thrifted in July a whole bunch of this blue yarn, Lana Grossa Bingo, at a thrift store for a really great price. Whole sweater quantity for myself. I ran out right at the very end. I was making the throwback by Andrea Mowry. It's in that previous video. I ran out of yarn. But I was able to find, I knew it was going to be a different dye lot, but I was able to find the same yarn through Lindy Hobby. And I had heard really good things about their fast shipping and like 3 to 5 days, and somehow I was the anomaly there. And I ordered it, and first I got an email that it was like going to be delayed a little, but like 7 days. And I was like, okay, I can work with that. I think it was like October at that point, and I needed the photos for like end of October, beginning of November. So I still thought I could get a sweater for my son done, and then I had ordered some extra to do like a hat or accessory for my husband and daughter, so we all kind of coordinated and cute. But my yarn went on a tour of Europe. First it like was unavailable, then it was through a different supplier that then had to go to Lindy Hobby, but then it just like took world tour, and it showed up like a week before Christmas, even though I ordered it at the beginning of October with 5 to 7 day shipping. So something went weird there. Everybody else speaks very highly of that site. Their customer service was nice, but just didn't get the yarn when I thought I was going to get the yarn. So this is now going to be his other fall sweater for next fall, and maybe we'll all wear blue again. I don't know. By the way, we don't know the gender of the baby at this point, but we will find out. So maybe if it's a boy, we'll all have fun blue sweaters. I don't know. I definitely messed up here at one section. I don't know if you can see in the seed stitch. Yeah. I'm going to try to like duplicate stitch that or something, or I don't know, because I don't really want to go back and pull it out. But the yarn is Lana Grossa Bingo, and it is, I think, it doesn't have the color name on here. I think it was something like Midnight, but it's color 008. And it is a nice, I believe it is 100% merino. I will look in a second. I can't stand when the ball band is like in there and you have to dig. Yeah, 100% virgin merino wool. And muslin free. So nice yarn if you can get your hands on it, but you're going to have to probably ship it from Europe somewhere. But it's a nice blue. Normally I'm not a blue person, but it's going to look good on my son, and it's cozy, and it's coming out good. So I think, I'm a bazillion stitch markers here. I think I had to get up to just about this amount of increases as a paid pattern, so I won't give you too much info, but as you can see, it's kind of hard to show on the dark yarn, but there is, hopefully you can see it better in the pictures of the actual pattern, but the raglan increase is like this column. So for all of the sleeves, there's this column of raglan stitches. Yeah, that's a little better, you can see that. So it's got this nice detail, and then the rest is just in broken rib and pretty straightforward. I'm going to kind of just make it till it's big enough. I have 2 more balls of yarn here, and then 4 more up there, so I should be enough to make a toddler size sweater, I hope, because I'm not ordering more. But I'm not really modifying the pattern, other than I might just make the raglans bigger, but modifying in the sense that I'm using a larger yarn, larger gauge, and I think I'm just making the largest baby size, which might have been like an 18-month. Just making it big to fit a large 2-year-old. So that is the current WIP. I'm almost at splitting for the sleeves, and I kind of need to try it on him and then gauge how much larger will his little man biceps be by the fall, and hopefully it's gonna fit. If not, maybe it's for the baby. I don't know, but that's where I'm at with that one. And then I have, this is sort of on hold now. But this is I'm assuming it's Ariana, by Barocco. It is a free pattern. It is a both crochet and knit, which I love the combo of, granny square cardigan. I will put in a picture, but their version is all the same cohesive color scheme of like 4 colors maybe for the granny squares, and then a solid color for the body. Out of the same lot of yarn where I got the blue, where am I gesturing to? Sorry. The same blue Lana Grossa yarn. I got a whole, like, you know when you buy like a comforter at like TJ Maxx or Quilt, and it comes in like those big zippy plastic bags, like a bedding set? I had I think at least twin or full size bedding set full of scrap, mostly wool, mostly worsted and Aran weight yarns, that I got at the same time at that thrift store for a really, really good deal. And there's some more thrifted yarn later. We're thrifty. And none of it is cohesive. None of it goes together, other than I love a saturated rainbow, so it's going to go together. But I'm making a very scrappy version of that cardigan with just wild granny squares. However, I do not have the main color of yarn that I'm going to be using for the knit finishes for the button band and joining around all the granny squares and like the cuffs and stuff. And again, I started this, I think might have been like my January 1st project, where I was like, I'm going to make this cardigan, and I knocked out all the granny squares in like a week and a half, then started feeling awful, then couldn't decide what yarn I wanted, and then I was like, I'm not going to order the expensive-ish yarn to finish it. If I don't know if I'm going to even finish it in time to wear it, this might again be a fall make. It's definitely kind of a fall color scheme too. I don't know how best to show you, but I have this entire bucket of fun granny squares. I guess I'll just show you my little rainbow order piles. I forget how many I had to make, but it was a bunch. bunch. Like just really fun. Some of the yarns were more tonal, some were more variegated. But I made just a whole slew of, you know, a classic granny square. Slightly different than the granny square that I normally do for myself. Worked a couple brights in there, but they're mostly, you know, a saturated jewel tone kind of feeling. And I think theirs might have been, I don't remember if it's a DK or a worsted originally in the pattern, but again, I probably messed with it. I might have made mine slightly smaller in hook size, and then I might mess around with the joining method as well if it ends up being unreasonably large, because it's hard to size a granny square pattern, and I think even in the pattern I think it's like an extra small, medium large, extra large kind of sizing, where those are chunked together and there's not like really precise bust measurements or any really precise fit at all. I'm just gonna keep showing you random squares while we talk about it. But yeah, once I lay them all out and get the main yarn, I will probably get a better idea of what it is that I'm doing. This is one of the really fun variegated greens I worked a whole bunch in. And then, yep, there's a stack of blue ones, and then there's a stack of weird little triangle-y shapey ones. But I have all of the, and I even like sewed in all the ends. I got that much done. Just, you know, you guys know what granny squares look like, so this isn't very exciting. But I think it'll be really cute when it comes together. It's definitely going to be kind of a statement piece of like, hi, I make my own clothes. But I like that. Bunch of triangle-y ones, and then a couple bitty, whoop, lost them. Itty bitty triangle ones. So that's that. It's a free pattern. And again, it's not like the most size inclusive unless you mess with your granny square gauge and whatnot, but it's kind of just a big, you know, when you make things out of granny squares, it's got a tiny bit of shaping, I think, around the neck and maybe the underarm, so it's not super bulky with the squares. But other than that, it's kind of just a big clunky chunky sweater. And I go back and forth on loving granny squares and hating granny squares. I love making them. Sewing in the ends is a pain. But as far as like representing crochet, I feel like that's what comes to mind for everybody is a classic granny square, and it can kind of be held in that like, oh, crochet kind of mentality where I like to be like, oh wait, you crochet? That's crochet. That's kind of more where I like to be in my crochet realm. But also I do love a classic looking crocheted item. So crochet granny square cardigan it is. The yarn that I was planning on using, I'll put in a picture. I'm thinking, I've never used it before, and again, ordering from a European supplier, but I think they're actually out of New Hampshire. She stocks European yarns. Woolly Thistle is a really, they're not even that far from me. I think they're like 2 hours from me. I would love to go someday. Woolly Thistle is a yarn shop in New Hampshire. She started as a online shop only and now has a physical store. And she specializes in European yarns. I believe she is from Scotland, maybe? I think so. I think that's why it's Thistle. But anyway, yarns that are not usually readily available at most U.S. yarn stores and suppliers. And they stock Rauma. And I'm thinking, I forget which line of Rauma it is. But there was kind of a orangey, sort of like this color, but not variegated, kind of a burnt orange brown shade. Not quite that either. I make a lot of things in orangey brown. I thought that would maybe be a good main color. I was going to go with a gray, but I think that with the warm toned granny squares, I don't know what I'm going to get. I had a gift card that would cover some of it, but right now I'm kind of in a work through stash, but I don't really have anything in stash that would work with that. I could hold some fingering weight stuff double, but I don't think I have enough quantity. I could dye something, naturally dyed, that'd be fun, but those are all superwash and this is a non-superwash, so I'd kind of like to keep this a woolly thing, and going forward I'm kind of phasing out of superwash. These are both superwash as well, but I'm kind of moving into my woolly era, I guess. But yeah, natural fibers, I like them. So if anybody has any great recommendations, it is like a two ply, and I have no idea what this yarn was. None of them had labels. I think it's all similar yarn. Some of them were more Aran, some were more worsted, but they were all 2-ply, 100% wool for sure. Really bright colors. I tried to figure out what it was initially when I bought it. Could not. But it's really nice, whatever it was, and somebody had just a whole lot of it. But all of it was scrapped, so there was no entire balls or skeins. It was just little scrap balls in a giant tote bedding bag at a thrift store. So a great find. And I still have some bits left over in some colors, like I didn't use hot pink or any of the like pastel-y colors. I have a little bit left over, but I used most of the saturated ones that I really, really like those colors. So if you have any great suggestions for yarn that I could use as the main color, or what color you would use as the main color with that whole color scheme I showed you there, it's definitely going to be a statement piece, and I'm probably going to do a fun like handmade button on it or something too. At this point, I'm kind of within my circle of people. Everybody knows that I'm the fiber arts gal, so no one's going to be surprised if I come in wearing a rainbow granny square monstrosity. But that's who I am now, so it's fine. Those are the only fiber arts projects I have at this time. And going forward, I'm not sure what my projects are going to be either. I think the only thing I have as a finished object, I don't even have it here with me, and it's laughable. So if I have a picture, I'll put it in, but I don't think I even have that. I made out of that same, where is it? The same green on the edge here. Oh, this is the most awkward way to hold the thing. That green with the blue. I made a button-on scarf for a stuffed turtle. That is, I think, my only finished object of 2025, and it was like that big. Crocheted scarf with a button for a stuffed turtle. His name is Thinker. He is our class pet buddy for our homeschool co-op. It's a project that I took on where I did this whole backpack and a binder and all these projects and unit studies and take home this turtle with you every week. And my daughter felt he needed something. Accessories, originally I wanted something I could make like sweaters for or hats, but it's really hard to make a sweater for a stuffed sea turtle. So we made him a scarf, and then I sewed him like a little sleeping bag and pillow set, and he travels with everybody in our co-op and has adventures. But yeah, that's the only thing I made is a turtle scarf. So that's a little sad. I'd like to get back into designing, but who even knows at this point? Just again, day by day. Those are my WIPs. I have some thrifted content. I have some unboxing content. So I guess we'll get into that. So I guess we're approaching the acquirings section. These again were from earlier in January, February, and I don't quite have a plan for them. And I don't thrift that often. I do pretty much thrift our whole wardrobe and a lot of stuff, but I'm not like one of those persons that's doing weekly thrift hauls or anything. I try to be practical about consuming stuff, even if it's thrifted, because I don't really need more yarn, as we can see. But when I do find good natural fiber type yarn at a thrift store, that's always exciting. I found these at Goodwill, and they are mystery yarn. I got this cone, $1.99, and then this was just hanging out in a bag and had no price tag, and she was like, $1.99 for that too. So I have this whole bunch. I haven't weighed it. It's always hard with a cone to tell, but I could weigh this stack because this is just cakes. Really not great color for me. Not great color at all. Washes me out like crazy. It makes me look like porridge from the workhouse. So being a natural fiber, I'm thinking I could dye it or I could hold it double with something else. It is fingering weight, and I would say that it is linen and something. I don't know if it's linen and wool, which is kind of a weird combo. Linen and something, definitely heavily plant-based, and it has no info. It's not even a cone, it's like a tube. But there's no information to be had on the inside of there. I tried to Google Lens it, and it's just like, you know, plant-based cone yarn. But it's kind of got a thick, thin thing going for it. Not the softest, but linen definitely softens up over time. So I was thinking I could either do something very loose, drapey with all of them, or possibly, it's hard to tell, again, with thrifted yarn. I could hold these double, but is this enough for a garment? I think. This has got to be like over 100 grams. And I'd say that this is probably 100 grams plus some. So I'm thinking I got 300 to 400 something grams here of colored linen yarn. They'll probably be over dyeing. I don't think I'm going to dye it, guys. I could hang it up and dye it initially, but it's probably going to be a make a project over dye it situation. But if anybody has any fabulous loose fitting, fits a pregnant lady, plant-based mystery linen over dye project ideas, I'd be open to those. In the same day, I also thrifted a pair of 100% linen pants and a linen, it almost looks like a Renaissance-y pirate kind of loose fitting linen shirt as well in the same color. That's awful on me, but aspirations of naturally dyeing things, which I don't know if that's going to happen so much this year, because we've moved, and the home that we've moved into had a garden previously. It was owned by one family for basically since the 80s. Then they had some circumstances come up where they needed to move out, and they sold it to an investment company, and we bought it basically from an investment company that flipped it. So it was vacant for like 3 years, and there's a garden way out back that has fruit trees and berries and like little sprouts of asparagus popping up, and I'm excited to see as spring comes, because we got it in the fall, if there's any other signs of life back there, but it's very abandoned. So we're going to need to do some serious work, and I don't think between the pregnancy and the rest of life that that's happening this year. I am doing a plot at a community garden alongside my mom, but I don't know if there's going to be a huge amount of natural dyeing stuff going on there. I'll probably get some cosmos and stuff in, but I also didn't start seeds. Normally I do a whole greenhouse, not like a whole greenhouse, like a little pop-up tent greenhouse of seeds, starting like February, March-ish, and I just haven't had that in me with the pregnancy, and just also with the move with the house, figuring out where we'd put that, and just all of that has not happened. So my gardening is going to look a little different this year. Normally I'm a big veggie gardener, and a big grower of plants and things for dye stuff, but probably not 2025. I keep having to cycle through like partially charged batteries because I haven't recorded so long. All my batteries are not fully charged, so I keep having to swap those out. But I have some more thrifted. Oh, hi. Did you want to come too? We already talked about you. You stood there. Some more thrifted from earlier in February. I think this is all the same day. Goodwill haul of fabric. I always check fabric when I'm at a thrift store. I always check sheets, linens, curtains, that kind of thing for things that could be fabric. Again, I'm dabbling in sewing, don't entirely know what I'm doing. This is not my color palette at all, but it's little scrappy bits, and I'm thinking, again, this is a lofty goal for someone who's pregnant and life is crazy, but I want, having never done this before, we're transitioning my son from like crib life to big boy bed life, and I'm thinking I want to make a quilt for his bed, twin size. The only quilt that I've made in recent anything, and quilt used very loosely because I am not a measurer and a squarer, and I cut tiny triangles and pin things and iron. That is not me. I took a quilting class in high school, after high school, because my mom talked me into it, and I do not have that level of precision in my body, and it stresses me out horribly, and I hate the ironing and the pinning, and when things aren't lined up, or I do not at this time like that. Maybe I'll get there. But I'm definitely a scrappy, crazy quilt kind of person, and I really like the look of that too. I think they're really fun. But I'm thinking maybe I could do something like that for my son's bed. I, again, for that turtle, made a quilted sleeping bag, quilted, batting and top stitched and all of that, but not precise, nothing lines up, totally scrappy, completely random. Thinking I might do something like that for my son if I can accumulate enough economical quilt bits. Kind of going for a primary color thing. His favorite color is orange and blue, and I like this blue a lot. It's very fun. And then I have lots of other bits. I have some fabric that I've acquired that's like black with like trucks and machinery on it, and some with crayons and just like fun gaudy little boy prints. But now with the closing of Joanne, may it rest in peace, really sad about that. I don't know about fabric. I'm not well versed in fabric enough to be an online fabric shopper. It took me a long time to get there with yarn where like I can read a description now and be like, okay, I have a pretty good idea of what this yarn is going to feel like, how thick it's going to be, what projects it's going to work for, its drape and all of that. With fabric, I'm not there yet. Like I could be like, okay, cotton, linen, I know the difference there. I know denim isn't the same as silk, like that kind of thing. But all the fancy fabric names and fabric like weights and drapes and stuff like that, I'm not there, and I'm not really following patterns at this point. So going into Joann or Hobby Lobby or somewhere that has physical fabric that I can touch and it's on sale and I have a coupon and I don't feel that bad if I mess it up. And it doesn't feel like that big of a commitment to have to pay shipping, or I don't know. There's other local fabric shops around me, smaller ones, but again, I just feel kind of intimidated. Know that like I haven't been into a local yarn store feeling. I definitely felt that early on in my fiber arts journey. I'm there with fabric where I don't know that I could walk in and be like, I need this. I'm looking for this. I'd kind of just like go in and wander and touch things and seem really clueless. And I liked Joann that they always had those like remnant bins of stuff left over. So if you're doing scrappy, quilty little things, remnants were a great way to get sales and deals. And again, not feel too committed to having spent big money on fancy pants fabric. So I'm trying to accumulate these as I can. I don't know if it's going to get done, but that's my thought. And if not, I have many primary colored fabric options and a whole bin of other scrappy bits. These two are flannel. They're very small, but we've done pillowcases and pajama pants and stuff for the kids. And I don't know, again, not colors that I normally like, but for like $1 a piece, I think they're each $1 or $2 for miscellaneous amounts of fabric. I feel like that's worth it. So that is the thrifted acquiring section. I do have a unboxing to do, but I feel like I need to give you a little life update before we talk about that. So we're going to segue into life update and then back into unboxing because it kind of all fits together, I think. Bear with me, this is kind of a weird episode. All right, so life update. Normally I don't do a lot of personal stuff on here, and I try to keep the fiber arts pretty separate from our personal life just because we like privacy and all of that, but I feel like this is worth sharing because it's what we're navigating right now, and I want to be transparent with anything that I'm promoting or I'm trying to up the content and all of that. This is one of the major reasons why. Very unexpectedly and without any warning and kind of in a super sketchy way, my husband was very suddenly laid off this week. He is the main provider for our family. I do this crochet stuff and the YouTube and whatever on the side, but I am like a sprinkle of the income, and he is very much the main provider. I stay home, I homeschool. So he is the provider for our family and has always pretty much been since having kids. So out of the blue, he got laid off from his large corporation-y job by some higher up. Basically, they suddenly on a Tuesday morning sent him an email and were like, hey, you have a private meeting, be there, laid him off. No fault of his, and they would not really specify their reasons. His direct superiors and like bosses were not consulted or notified, neither was his team of people, and after the fact they all like kind of advocated for him, like what in the world is happening, why? And they were just like, nope, we decided, we're making cuts. It kind of felt like we got picked out of a hat, like somebody went down a spreadsheet and was like, you. So very, very weird, very like no warning given, no prior talk with any of his like career managing people, just out of the blue. And we have seen God work very faithfully in our lives. We are Christians and definitely believe that God has a plan for everything, even when it doesn't make sense to us, and have seen God's faithfulness always. So I don't doubt that there's a plan here, but this is just so not our plan for 2025. We just bought basically our dream home. We were looking for a larger car, pregnant, all of that. So this was really, really, it's kind of hurt, kind of a blow. That just, I don't know if people generally expect these kind of things, and we have tried to always be prepared, and we have a large pantry, and we do all the food growing, and we're not like quite full homestead self-sufficient or anything at all yet, but we're very frugal, and we have savings, and this is not like a desperate situation, but my husband's currently unemployed. So we are looking into other options. We're really hoping it's going to be a quick turnaround for him. He's got qualifications, certifications, degrees, all the recommendations that he's going to need, and has always done very favorably at his jobs. So it was just very strange that they were like, nope, we're getting rid of you. You're the one to go. That's the thing about corporations is high up. They don't know who you are and they don't care. So just looking into other stuff. And in the meantime, I'm going to be trying to do some more content, some more promotion of stuff where I can, and just helping balance this out in any way that I can. There's no way I can replace his income with crocheting. And yeah, like hoping it's going to be a quick turnaround and we're not going to have to make any other decisions, but that's where we're at right now. So kind of awkward, but shops are always linked down below. And I know it's the hard times for everybody right now, and like groceries are insane and eggs cost like $30 and it's rough all around. So if this is not for you and you're not in a place where you want to go buy crochet patterns, then that's totally fine. But I would really appreciate if you are, any of the links that I provide down below. I'm going to be doing some affiliate stuff in a second here. The shops are always linked, but even just watching YouTube videos and leaving the ads on and engaging and leaving comments and liking and sharing and engaging, like, it matters, it counts, it helps. Like I said, I'm not going to replace his income, but to just kind of level things out. I think the big uncertainty for us right now is just the medical stuff and the baby coming. We got some time there, got about 6 months or so to sort it out, but we do need a larger family car because we don't have a spot to put this baby, and then just all the medical stuff because he was the one carrying the insurance as well. So yes, just kind of a lot. And again, if you're not in the mood for shopping yarn or patterns, totally fine. Would appreciate you engaging any way you can, and prayers are really great right now. So yeah, looking for a job for my husband. In the meantime, I'm gonna do what I can. Life update. Normally we just talk about yarn, but thanks for listening. So all of that to say, I am just gonna be trying to do more. With each kid that we've added, my involvement in this business has kind of declined, especially with homeschooling. I used to do a lot more pattern designing, and now it's kind of been like pattern design where I can, and blogging and all of that, but I'm going to try to up content wherever I can. And I did recently become a Knitpicks affiliate as well. So I have an unboxing, and it's more of an unbagging. It's going to be crinkly. I'll dump it out and cut that part. But if you are shopping for yarn and you like to shop at Knitpicks, particularly maybe looking for a kind of more big box, available, affordable yarn replacement to Joann, if that's something that's affecting you, I feel like if you're in the US, you probably lost your Joann, because most places had one. I think it was like 800 stores or something. So we all feeling that. Knitpicks is a good option. They also own We Crochet. I will put links down below to the yarns that I'm going to talk about, and if you happen to want to shop through my link, not going to cost you any extra. Helps me. So, I haven't looked at this yet. They sent it over to me this week. I'm going to dump it out, and then we'll go through yarn by yarn and see what we got. Now, this is interesting. There's this flyer in here that has Knitpicks and We Crochet on it, but it also has connectingthreads.com, which I've not heard of. Is this a fabric supplier? They appear to have a thread supplier as well, so maybe they own all of these. I'll have to look into that. Just a thought, again, for you Joann-less people. All right, so I have this whole stack. Okay, they did pretty good. They had asked what I liked as far as yarns go, and I said I generally work with fingering weight, not really more than a DK weight kind of person. I like natural fibers, and I'm a very saturated rainbow kind of person. Really like mustard yellow. And they did pretty good. Look at this. I've worked with some of these, and some I have not. But let's discuss what they included. Okay. All right, Wool of the Andes. This is their sport weight Wool of the Andes, and this is the color Forest Heather. They have a lot of a lot of heathered options in this yarn. And this is a sport weight, obviously, 100% Peruvian Highland wool. You've probably heard of this one. I believe it also has a worsted weight option, Wool of the Andes, and it comes in many, many, many colors. Woolly, but not any more woolly than this other stuff I was working with. Maybe I should look into, no, because this has more plies in it. I do want to get a 2-ply for this so it's consistent. But Wool of the Andes Sport Weight in the color Forest Heather. I do like this very much, and I've worked with their Wool of the Andes before, and it's a great, again, if you're trying to replace a box store yarn that was like your Old Faithful, this is a great affordable wool. 100%. Particularly if you want to just try out some 100% wool. Maybe you're not the wooliest of folks yet. This is good. It's great for color work. Wool of the Andes. I haven't tried the Sport Weight, I think. So that's cool. Swatch some of these up and see how they do. But this one I have worked with before. Then there's this other green. Oh no, let's do the wools first. Okay. Palette. Palette is another Old Faithful. Palette is more of a 2-ply construction. This is a fingering weight, and this is the color Turmeric. And are we 100%? Yep, 100% Peruvian Highland wool. I feel like Wool of the Andes is slightly scratchier. You know, it's not a yarn review until you rub it on your face. I guess they're equal levels of scratchy. This one's probably holds up better because of the more plies, but I do love a 2-ply construction. And palette comes in like 1 bazillion colors. That's why it's called palette. Basically, if you need to color match for anything, doing color work, fantastic option. And I think they just added 10 or so more colors, and palette's currently on sale for 20% off. So very affordable. I think you can get it for less than $5 for 50 grams at this point. And again, I will put links below if you care to check out the new colors or need basically any color of yarn that you're looking for. Knitpicks palette is affordable and reliable and has been available for a long time. Because that's another thing with the Joanne yarn is that, I mean, some of the like Lion brand stuff was pretty, no, even that. There was a lot of yarns that would like come, we'd really like them, and then they'd disappear. And Knitpicks does regularly add new yarns, but I feel like their core, like Wool of the Andes palette, that kind of thing, they're still available. So if you need to get more, you can do so, and you don't have to call Europe about it. This is also fingering weight. This is gloss. And ooh, this one's got silk in it. I haven't used this one before. Gloss. Okay, so fingering weight. This is the color Harvest. It is 220 yards to 50 grams. I guess I should have told you that information about the other ones. We can backtrack. And this is a fingering weight, 70% merino wool, so non-superwash, and 30% silk. I don't know that I've worked with a silk wool combo. I have worked with silk, and I've obviously worked with wool, but this has beautiful drape to it. Almost an alpaca type drape to it. Maybe not quite as much. Very soft. Love this color, obviously. They definitely nailed it on the mustard yellow spectrum. I think I like, this is more my true mustard, but this is like that orangey gold that I like. So this is very lovely. And made in Peru. I like this. Silk adds a lot of durability, like adding like a mohair, or even like instead of adding nylon, silk has that similar durability as far as adding a nylon to like socks or whatever, without it being synthetic. So that is exciting. Really like that color. I don't know if this is a new one. I haven't really heard of this one before. Knitpicks Gloss. Do we know this one? Have we worked with it? I like it. It's floppy. This could be socks. I don't know if it's marketed as a sock yarn, but merino and silk could be socks. All right, and then we have Cotton, which I have worked with. This is DK weight, mustard seed, appropriate, and 123 yards to 50 grams. And this is 70%, you tell me, Tanguis? I'm probably saying that horribly wrong. Cotton, some kind of cotton, and 30% linen, hence Cotlin. It is a cotton linen blend in a DK weight. And it has a very similar to like, if you're familiar with Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton, it reminds me of that, but it does have that little bit of linen in it. But it definitely more of a cotton feel than a linen feel. Linen tends to be a little crunchier and soften up over time, whereas cotton, a little more softer, a little more fuzz to it. but definitely not your typical like washcloth cotton feel. So this is a good garment option. What could we do with a 50-gram ball of cotton? That's a good question, but I love the color. We'll backtrack to this one. Wool of the Andes was 137 yards to 50 grams. And pallet is 231 yards to 50 grams fingering weight. So quite a bit of yardage there. And then I said I was going to do the wool spool first, and then I let this one slip away from me. I don't even know what that's made out of. We're going to have to do some research. All right, so this one's called Grape Drink, which is accurate. And it's called Gossy, not glossy, no L, Gossy Sport Weight. Although I would say you are pretty close to a fingering weight, if we're being honest. I would call you a fingering weight for sure. I feel like pallet's thicker. Yeah, I'm gonna call you a fingering weight. 142 yards to 50 grams. You're on the line of being sport weight. Grape Drink, Gossy, and it is made out of, this is new even to me, a seasoned fiber artist, 65% Cupro. What is Cupro? Let's look it up. I don't know. Just dumped everything on the floor. 65% Cupro and 35% fine merino wool. What is Cupro? A fabric made from regenerated cellulose fibers from recycled cotton. So it's basically broken down cotton. Interesting. Smooth, soft, and drapey, breathable, durable, biodegradable and compostable, and vegan friendly. Which this has wool in it, so not entirely, but Cupro by itself apparently is an option. So this is called Gossy, and this, I have never heard of this yarn, this fiber, or anything else. I said I liked plummy purple. This is definitely not my shade of purple, but my daughter would be into this for sure. I am like a grapey. Not this. This says it's grape, but have you ever seen a grape to this color? No. This is Grape Drink, which is tastes like purple, not grapes. All right, so we're gonna have to try out some Cupro. But it's basically a cotton wool blend, is what I'm getting here. But it's definitely got good drape to it. And I do like a cotton wool combo. I would not classify you as a sport weight though. Like, come on. That's tiny. We're gonna try out some Cupro. Very interesting. And then the last one, also plant-based, Lindy Chain. This is a chainette, fingering weight, color ivy, 180 yards to 50 grams, and it is 50% linen, 30% Pima cotton, which is a blend that I'm pretty familiar with. And this is a good, ooh, that's really pretty. That's coming up with a little bit of shine there too. What's making you shiny? Not the linen. Definitely has kind of a sheen to it. The Pima cotton? I don't know. But it seems to have a bit of a sheen. Chainette is when it looks like it's a little chain. Instead of being plied together, it looks chained together. And this is a fun option for summer weight items. 70% linen, 30% Pima cotton. In fingering weight. All right, so I'd show you the whole bunch together again, but I dropped them on the floor and they're under a table now and I'm not going to get them. My torso don't bend right now. That is my Knitpicks haul. So I am going to be doing some work with them going forward, and as I get back into designing, they're willing to do yarn support and whatnot. So again, if you care to shop on Knitpicks, I got links for you. They're down below. And palettes on sale. So that's worth checking out. Anyhow, I don't like to promote stuff generally, and I'm pretty choosy with what I use. But Knitpicks, I feel like, is a very accessible, faithful option, particularly as we've all lost our beloved Joanne. That is at least US-wide accessible to anybody that wants and needs some reliable yarn. And generally their shipping is reasonable, and they run sales all the time. They do all sorts of like color of the month sales and then different fiber sales and all sorts of promotions. So if you're not already on like an email list for them, you probably want to be. And they own We Crochet and Knitpicks, but the products are basically the same. It's yarn. They do have hooks and needles and stuff as well, but yeah. Interesting. So I don't know how often I'm going to be unboxing from them, but as I go forward with designing, it's going to be a good option for me. As you can guess, I'm probably not buying a lot of yarn right now. We're very much in the buy groceries, buy necessities, and nothing else. At the moment, I have plenty of yarn. I just need to come up with projects in my little pregnant brain to do with them and finish off the things that I have started. I don't know. And it's always hard too, making pregnant fitting garments. I definitely have done it through my other 2 pregnancies, and I have stuff that I've worn all the way to the end. But it's hard to make something and try to eyeball, okay, how is this going to fit me not pregnant, or do I want it to fit me pregnant, but then will I be happy with it? Vice versa, all of that. And just like breastfeeding friendly tops and whatnot, I like those as well. So probably going to be looking into those. And then once we find out the gender, I am for sure going to be making stuff for the fall. We have a boy and a girl at this point, so I have everything that we need as far as clothing and really just all the baby supplies. We have it all. We've saved it all. Planned on having more kids, so this is not like unexpected. We got plenty of other unexpected, but this was not unexpected. And yeah, kind of just a toss-up, like send us whatever, Lord, we're ready. But I do really like making custom little outfits and cutesy things, and yeah, I'll let you know once we find out, I guess. I think that's it. It's kind of an all over the place episode, kind of a lot of content that I wouldn't normally put in there. But it felt good to sit down and get some of this talked about and recorded and, yeah, be vulnerable, I guess. Thanks for being my internet people. There's a kid crying now, so it's a good time to wrap up. I'm going to go see if I can figure out my raglan increases on my Friday sweater. And, yeah, we'll see where we go from there. There's going to be some fun stash busting things happening. And let me know down below if you want me to film a box of socks and any other thoughts that you might have. I appreciate any engagement. I appreciate all of you. Stick around and I'll be back at surprising and unexpected times. How fun. I'll catch you when I catch you.